So the microbe that I studied is the Galerina marginata. So the Galerina marginata is a mushroom, so its kingdom would be classified under fungi. Within the three types of mushrooms, the Galerina marginata is considered a fleshy mushroom because they contain hyphae, which means they cannot be yeast and they are not dimorphic. Mushrooms contain chitin in their cell walls that add support to the structure and help defend against predators. The Galerina marginata is eukaryotic, which means they contain a true nucleus and membrane bound organelles. The Galerina marginata is a multicellular fungus because it contains filaments that have long branches, also known as hyphae. So, where is it found? This mushroom is commonly found in Europe, Asia, and North America. Typically, it's found in the Midwest. The Galerina marginata is more abundant during the spring and fall. This mushroom can be found in areas with rotting wood. This means they can be found in rotting doorways, benches, buried wood, wood chips, or areas like a forest. It grows better in areas that are moist, warm, and slightly acidic. It produces better in warmer, wet climates because this allows the wood to rot faster, which would allow the mushroom to decompose the wood easier. Fungi are heterotrophic organisms, which mean they cannot produce their own nutrients, such as plants, through photosynthesis, which gives them an advantage because they do not need sunlight to grow. The Galerina marginata needs dead materials to survive, which makes them a saprophyte. The dead materials that this mushroom needs is rotting wood. This mushroom has a mycelium, which is made up of hyphae. The hyphae helps them dissolve the substrate, specifically the vegetative or submerged hyphae. Their hyphae secrete an enzyme that breaks down the nutrients, allowing them to grow through the rotting wood. This gives them another advantage because they can get nutrients, reproduce, and grow out of substrates that other organisms cannot survive on. So, how does this actually help the ecosystem? Since they are breaking down the rotting wood, they can leave leftover nutrients for other organisms to use. So this is kind of similar to the mycorrhizal fungi, their relationship with some plants, how they will be pulling nutrients out of the deep soil that will help the plants. So it's kind of a similar relationship. And then they also are clearing the floors of forests or wooded area of the rotting wood. So, how do they actually protect themselves? The Galerina marginata contain a mycotoxin, which is a chemical that causes damages to the cell. These toxins are lethal to all animals and humans, and the lethal dosage is between 5 and 10 milliliters. How can you tell if you ingested one of these mushrooms? So, within 6 hours of consumption, the digestive symptoms usually appear. So, that's going to be your vomiting and diarrhea. And if not treated quickly, the following symptoms that are listed will begin. This toxin interrupts the RNA polymerase II's function during DNA transcription. The RNA polymerase II is an enzyme that is involved in the process of making mRNA. The toxin makes sure that the RNA polymerase II carries instructions to make sure that the toxin binds to the polymerase and not the DNA. This disruption does not allow the cell to create new proteins. Mushrooms can reproduce asexually and sexually. For asexual reproduction, it can happen in two ways. So it can happen through spores or fragmentation, also known as budding. Spore formation happens at the end of the coniodophore. A random number of nuclei are divided into individual cells that have a thicker cell wall. Then these are released to be carried into the wind by humans or other animals. Budding or fragmentation happens when the fungal mycelium breaks into pieces and each piece grows into a separate mycelium. For sexual reproduction, it actually happens in three different steps. The three steps are plasmogamy, karyogamy, and meiosis. The diploid chromosomes are pulled apart into two daughter cells, each containing a single set of chromosomes. Then the fusion of the two protoplasts bring together two haploid nuclei. These two haploids are fused together to create a zygote. Then these zygotes will start to develop basiocarps or fruiting bodies. Through asexual reproduction, the spores can spread rapidly and at a greater distance. This will increase the population and the new mushrooms will begin to reproduce. Through sexual reproduction, it will increase the Galerina marginata's genetic variation and their ability to adapt to new environments. The Galerina marginata look very similar to other mushrooms, such as the Armillaria gallica. They're going to be in areas where other edible mushrooms are growing, so it's easy to identify the mushroom incorrectly and accidentally eat the Galerina marginata. They're also growing at the time of the year when most people are hiking or going outside. They can also be found in common areas, so just be careful before eating a wild mushroom. And these are my references.